Today we continue our new series, A Whiteshields Guide to 9th. Hello and welcome back. I'm Knight Commander Cabe, and this is a tactical and strategic focused channel aiming to increase your skill on the battlefield. Today we continue looking at getting started in Warhammer 40k 9th edition. This is part 2. If you haven't seen the first part, please go and give it a check. Anyway, so what's next after getting started in Warhammer 40k? So in this video I insinuate you have started collecting Warhammer 40k and you've picked your faction and you've obviously hopefully anyway you've got it all painted. That's a big ask even for me. I've been playing for so many years and still haven't painted all my models, but then again that's the problem with the hobby. I buy too much, can't paint enough. So anyway, back to it. So you've bought what models you want. So you've started, either got a starter collecting set or started with a launch set / starter set. So, and you've got a rule book and the codex for your choice of army you've picked. And also I'm going to insinuate you've played a couple of games, so you've got the feel of the game and roughly how the actual 40k works top to bottom, even in its basic sense. So basically this is like you probably after your 4th or 5th game and you're starting to think, oh, what else can I buy, how do I expand my army into the future. So this is basically what this video is going to be picking up from. So anyway, so you've played a few games and you've found out what your army's good at, what it's not quite good at, where it's lacking. Hopefully you've established this over a few different type of games, so not against the same faction. So saying if you was playing Chaos Space Marines and you was playing against just normal Space Marines, hopefully you haven't just played that one game. If not, that's not a matter, but ideally it's better to base your army against different opponents. So say you've played a few games against Eldar, a few games against Admech, or even orcs and tyrannids, things like this, just to give you a bit more of a range of what you got. You might be good against a certain faction but not quite good against a certain faction. Things what are helping you against one is not really helping you against another. So it's a bit of swings and roundabouts, especially when you first start, as you haven't got as many models as say someone who's been playing for years and years down the line. And the aim of this is to get you started, like getting more and more, but getting models what are going to be useful to you, not something like you just buy and then you never play for years on time. Myself, I've bought models and I've not used a couple of them in 4 or 5 years, because when I bought them they was good, but obviously as editions and codexes change, some fall out of favour than others. But this is what happens with Warhammer in general. Some units get better, some get worse, and as you buy more, some will get a bit better than the others. So you tend to use more than the others after you've got them. But ideally, for a start, I want you to buy stuff you're going to use, so you can get the most out of your money, and obviously most out of your models, and enjoy playing. Especially because the hobby itself isn't the cheapest. So, what can you do to improve? So the easiest thing is just try out different tactics. Like obviously you might be running a thing one way, why not try to do it somewhere else? Before you start buying new things, try and get the most out of what you've got. So obviously for one, try screening. Say if you've got a lot of vehicles at the minute, or a dreadnought or a tank, if they're getting charged by your opponent, and obviously that scuppers your whole problem with your vehicle, because obviously it can't do what you want it to do. So why not take some of your infantry and screen around it? I've got a video on screening on the channel if you want to give it a check out. Obviously it will help you a little bit more and give you a bit more detail under that tactic. Also you can try deep striking or tactical reserves, saying that really one nasty unit you've got keeps getting shot off the table first turn. Stop that from happening, put it in deep strike or tactical reserve. It's going to save it for a couple of turns, and then you can weaken their army down, so they can come on and they can do a bit better than they was previously. So there's that. You can also be a bit more aggressive, push them, especially if you've got a more combat focused army like orcs or tyranids. You might be not getting to them quick enough, so that might be why you're not quite doing as well as you would like to be. So probably try that. Or on the flip side, be more defensive if you're playing more of an army like Imperial Guard or Town, which don't really like being in combat. And or even that, something completely different. If you're not winning but you're getting close, probably try and play the objectives more. It's one of them. It's like you don't always have to shoot or kill their entire army to win a game. Obviously, playing the objective even more so now in 9th than 8th, the objective game is a lot more stronger and a lot more potent than it used to be. Also, once you've done all that, probably try doing pros and cons of your units and of your army as a general. Like, that unit there is very good at doing this, but it's poor at doing this. So it might be worth getting another unit, what's good at what that first unit can't do, to balance it out a little bit. So for an example, say you have got a Primaris squad. Obviously it's very good against infantry. It's not very good at going for the heavier units, their tanks, their monsters. So you're probably worth looking at something a bit more with a bigger punch, like a Repulsor Executioner. Very, very good against tanks. Yes, it's a more expensive unit, but it's going to deal with them more nasty problems on their enemy. But then that itself is going to have a problem of getting charged, and it can't hold objectives like the Marine scan in general. So they both have the plus and weaknesses. So if them two units working together, obviously it's going to improve your game no end. But it's all depending on how you use each individual unit. But that comes with time, practice, and more games. Obviously, it's not just going to go perfectly the first game, especially with new units. As you say, the rule is if it's new, it's more likely going to die first. I do that all to all my friends, and I'm not sure about you and your gaming group, but that's how it goes with mine, and that's how it's always been. It's annoying, but things happens. So also, when you're adding more units to your army, you've got to take into consideration the detachments now, because obviously with taking one detachment's always more beneficial to keep the amount of command points up. So you've got to look when you do expand your army. Say more than likely at the start you're going to be running a patrol detachment when you start collecting sets, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. But as soon as you start adding more HQs, if you add 2 more HQs, you realise I can't actually take a patrol detachment anymore because I haven't used too many slots from this. So you want to be looking more towards a battalion detachment. So obviously you can now fit the 3 HQs, but you still need probably another troop or 2, depending on how many you've got. But then that also opens up more elite slots for you, more fast attack slots, more heavy support slots, and it starts opening up a few more options. Like you can get that extra tank, that extra dreadnought, that extra Khan effects if you want, because you've got that bit more options. But you need to take into consideration when you are buying more, you're not hindering yourself with your command points taking multiple detachments. Now, it didn't matter so much in 8th, but now it's something definitely to consider when you are making your next list and adding and changing your units. As well, your unit might be good, you just might have loaded it out wrong. You might be taking not quite the most optimal relic or warlord trait. Just try and change it up, try new ones out, try different combinations. It might be finding out that this would be good against certain faction, but not quite good as another faction. Just give them all a try. You might find that the go-to one for most competitive players doesn't really work for your army, whereas one what's a bit weaker benefits you in your playstyle. Because let's be honest, like most of these competitive players and tournament players have one very set way of doing it to make that army very good. Whereas a person who's still a bit competitive but not as much might find these other tactics, these other list builds are more optimal for them as a player, because no one wants to play one way. Ideally, you want to take your faction, your army, and play it as many ways as you want to get the most out of it and keep it new and fresh. So, what I recommend not doing when expanding, don't buy a lot of units you haven't tested, because there's always that thing, oh, I'll buy X, Y, and Z units, what I've never used before. You put them in your list, you buy them, paint them all up all nice, and you realise they're not very good. There's nothing like buying a unit and it just doesn't perform. You spent all that money, all that time painting it up, making it look nice, and it's just going to sit on your shelf because it doesn't work to how you play. So it's more beneficial to play smaller games and work your way up. So you don't have to go all out buying a 2,000, 3,000 points army just to do nothing because you don't like these units and it's just not very good. So especially with this new crusade system they're bringing out in 9th, it's going to help you a lot. Actually build your army bit by bit, realise this is good, this is not as good, I'll change this, do this, and it helps. But never ever base a decision on a unit on 1 or 2 games, because let's be honest, you could have absolutely poor dice rolling for 2 games and can't get the best out of it, and it's just giving it unfair advantage. You've got to give it a little bit, try different things, or maybe you have a really good dice roll game one day, but then it's a dice based game, these things are always bound to happen. And also never base your army on countering one specific opponent. Like, I made this mistake when I first started playing 8th. Both of my friends played Space Marines and I started collecting Imperial Guard, so obviously I based my army to counter Space Marines, and as soon as I played a different army I really struggled. So if I went back now, I'd base my army a bit more on a broader spectrum, make it more balanced, good against different things, not just one thing, because it'd be fine when you're playing that one army, but as soon as someone brings something different, especially if you're a part of a gaming group or go to even the Games Workshop stores and play against new people you don't know, you'll have a hard time. Yes, it will be fun learning, but still you want something a bit more, so you've got half a chance of winning that game, especially if you're more competitive minded and don't like losing. I don't know about you, but I hate losing. It happens, but it's just one of those things. But yeah, if you got any questions about how to build your lists or what I think, just drop us a message in the comments and I'll try my best to help you out and steer you towards a good choice. If not, I can always give my thoughts on it. I don't mind. I like helping new people, especially in my gaming group. Most of them come to me saying, "Oh, is this list any good? What should I do better?" But it's entirely up to you. I'm always here if you need any help and advice. But yeah, thanks for watching. That's the second part on this. Anyway, I hope you liked it. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment, and I'll catch you all soon. Happy battles on the battlefield, guys. See you later.